Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another weekend review show here on Enclave. Me, Seamus Brady, your host. For this one, I am joined by Liam White, the man behind the Faithful podcast. All Ireland football semi-final weekend is in the books, and we have our All Ireland final pairing for 2025. It will be Kerry v Donegal, a repeat of the 2014 All Ireland football final. Now, if you are new to the channel, before we dive into the weekend's action, the ticker down there at the bottom will tell you how we do things on the channel. Get involved in the live chat just as Brian O'Riordan, Sean O'Malley, Peter Griffin have been doing. I'm going to get into those comments, by the way, as well. Get involved to let us know what your highlight of the weekend was, what the low point of the weekend was, and what your thoughts were on the games, etc. Liam, big weekend. Táilteann Cup as well. Kildare, Táilteann Cup champions. We had the junior semi-finals in the LGFA, the intermediate semi-finals in the LGFA. Action from Camogie and New York winning the junior championship again. Plenty to talk about. How you keeping?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me on, Seamus. It's been a while, anyways, since I've been on the show, so it's good to be back on a Sunday night talking to you. Yeah, no, it was. I have to say, probably, if it'd probably be fair to say that apart from Kilkenny, Tipperary, maybe the semi-final lineups this year didn't live up to the expectations that maybe we'd have hoped for in both grades. Maybe just in terms of competitiveness. Maybe you could argue Kerry, Tyrone to a degree, but given the results in the end and the manner Kerry won it, you could probably say, maybe it wasn't the best game in the world, but nevertheless, yeah, we have a repeat of 2014 final. I hope it's better than the 2014 final because that was one of the worst football matches I ever watched in my life. The drama came with after the match with Brawley being called out. So, yeah, no, should be a cracking final. And yeah, it was a real interesting weekend. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm going to jump in with a couple of comments that we had, starting with Brian. Brian, you give me a ton of comments to read through. I'm going to pick my favourite, which is this. He says, Kerry's quarter-final display against Armagh was set to be the high-water mark of the 2025 All-Ireland Championship. That was until Donegal routed me by 20 points in the second of this weekend's semi-finals to set up a showdown with the Kingdom in a fortnight. Yes, very, very well put. We also have comments in here from Sean O'Malley. He says fitness was the difference this weekend in both of the games. Also, Peter is a Kildare fan. He says, as a Kildare supporter, a proud day for us yesterday. Could have gone to extra time, but we clung on and got up the steps. Kildare, a boo. This is going to be a good episode. Not as good, I will admit, as it could have been because both semi-finals were pretty one-sided, especially in the second half, Liam. There wasn't the sense, just before we dive into the game, in either game, there wasn't the sense that anything could happen going into the final quarter, was there? I mean, the Kerry-Tyrone game, Kerry had really put Tyrone to the sword in that third quarter, and Donegal Meath was even worse. Like it actually turned into a turkey shoot in the second half.
Yeah, and of course I predicted Meath to win on Thursday, so that was that was a very bad statement from me, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, I mean the second half of Donegal Meath got that bad that I switched over to the tennis instead. It was really, I felt, well, had it on another screen, but like I felt sorry for Meath, to take a beating like that in a semi-final, considering the year that they just had and the teams that they had beaten and knocked out of the championship. Your Galways and beating Kerry, beating Dublin. It felt like a shame. It kind of just felt like this was really the end of the road for them in a way. But no, nevertheless, Donegal did what they had to do. I think they've recorded 9 wins in the championship for the first time ever. I think that's the first time it's ever been done by a team. So that's a remarkable record, only losing the one game. And I mean, that was against Tyrone. So like, there's no real shame in that, So yeah, no, it's been a remarkable season from them. For Kerry, yeah, look, Kerry, I think apart from the first 15, 20 minutes, it always felt like Kerry were going to win the game. I never kind of got the sense in the second half that Tyrone would be able to push on and either get a draw or, get the win themselves. But nevertheless, Kerry won't care about that either. They're back in the final, as I predicted a few months ago. So I'm happy to get that prediction right, at least. I said Galway would be in the final beside them, so we'll ignore that bit. But
I'm going to say one thing to compete with you on the predictions. We are 2 wins away from me getting both All-Ireland winners correct.
Same.
I said Donegal and Cork. If that happens, all you people that said didn't know nothing.
I said Cork and Kerry.
Oh, so what? So yeah, like I mean, all fair. Yeah, we're gonna jump into the games now. We're gonna start off with this one. Kerry 120, Tyrone 17 points. A statement victory by Kerry as they see off Tyrone by 6 points in the semi-final. They dominated the second half, hitting 9 points without reply at one stage. Joe O'Connor, who won player of the match, was superb at midfield, while up front David Clifford sparkled the game at 1-9. All looks rosy for Kerry, Liam. They are going to take some stopping in the final.
They're going to take some stopping, and I mean, it's a bit of a spoiler already. I think Kerry will win. I said they'd win the All-Ireland back in April, and I'm sticking by that. I just think at the moment they're in a completely new gear altogether. That performance against Armagh has lit a new fire inside them. You know, that spell where they got, was it 12 points in a row, has really, really drove them on here. And I mean, it wasn't quite 12 in a row. Yes, I think they got 7 points in a row at one stage, but nevertheless, like, they're just kicking unbelievable points. Well, remarkably yesterday as well, they only got 1 2-pointer, and of course it was from Mr. Clifford himself. But nevertheless, Kerry at the moment are on really, really solid, and it's going to take a really, really good performance from Donegal to beat them. It'll equally take a very good performance from Kerry to beat Donegal. I think it's going to be a very, very intriguing final. You know, you have two previous All-Ireland winners with Jack O'Connor and Jim McGuinness going at each other, you know, so it's going to be a real, I mean, I hope they don't wear the same colour kits and we get a kick clash. That'll be, because there were some people giving out about that today during Donegal Meath. But anyways, yeah, look, David Clifford yesterday, we finished with 1-9 and he was just on fire. I felt so sorry for poor Camsey. He's marked them on so many different occasions at this point. He must be sick of them, to be honest with you. But like I said it earlier, I don't think the Lord Almighty himself could mark Clifford at the moment. He's on fire in Croke Park as we speak. He got 3 goals against Cavan. He got, was it 7 points the last day, 1-9 yesterday. The goal, the way he took it with such class and calmness as well, was unbelievable. And like even the likes of Paudie Clifford as well, I said it during the week. I just said there's no way he's going to not start. He was down to not be on the bench, but there was no way he wasn't going to start. You know, Jack O'Connor was absolutely going to throw him in from the start. Felt Seanie O'Shea not as good as he was the last day, but still finished with 3 points, still did his thing, you know, when he had to. Joe O'Connor had a real solid performance in midfield. We felt, me and Matthew kind of said the other day on his podcast that it would come down to the midfield battle, and I think it's fair to say Kerry won that battle in the end. I thought Joe O'Connor had a real solid showing there. Brino Bregliok, whenever he was coming up from wing back, you know, brought a lot of energy down the wings. So yeah, just overall, Kerry, what was real noticeable about Kerry and about Tyrone even, Tyrone looked very open at the back, in the full back line, which was a small bit worrying from that perspective. It looked like Kerry were trying to force goals a lot of the time. Like, they could easily have tapped over a lot more points and won the game by more. But I suppose, look, they'll know for the next day to just take their scores and to move on, because otherwise it could come back to bite them the next day. But yeah, no, real solid performance from Kerry. You know, their substitutes are making good impacts at the moment as well. You know, Micheál Burns is doing well off the bench. Khalid Spallan's doing well off the bench. You know, you've Tyke Morley, Tony Brosnan off the bench. You know, the panels come together really, really well. The squad's coming together really, really well. And I mean, Jack O'Connor's been here before. He knows how to get Kerry over the line in All Ireland. He knows how to win them. They have this thing of winning the league, and when he wins the league, they go on and win the All Ireland. So they'll be hoping history repeats itself in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, no, real solid from Kerry. They're going to take a real hard beating in the final.
Oh, they certainly will. I think that's the other thing as well, is you look at it in the first half. Tyrone actually started very well. They were leading after the first quarter. Owen McElhone, Kieran McGeary were to the fore. Then Kerry get that goal, and I thought Tyrone should have defended that better. I thought Mike Breen should have been confronted earlier. He was allowed to get far too deep into Tyrone territory, and then Clifford does the backdoor cut. Perfect hand pass, and Clifford finished it really, really well, to be fair. But you can't let Mike Breen come that far into your defence. But in the second half, the same way that they did to Armagh, Kerry just took over, and they absolutely made Tyrone pay for every mistake, every unforced error. Tyrone were made to pay for it. And when they do it against Armagh, it's the first time we've seen it to that level. When they do it against Tyrone in the next game, it's not a coincidence. This is clearly something that Kerry now are really, really good at, is that third quarter blitz. By God, Donegal are going to have to be wide to it in the final. But again, Donegal have been doing it themselves in the other game. That third quarter battle now between Donegal and Kerry, because you've seen Kerry do it to Armagh and now Tyrone back to back, and we saw Donegal do a third quarter blitz on Meath as well. By God, that period is going to be so vital in the final now.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial, and it just shows how good Kerry are as a side, because they obviously hadn't played a a Division 1 team in the All-Ireland, in the championship, since the league final. So obviously there was going to be that question mark over Kerry. Are they able to step it up a level? Are they able to, get up to the level of an Armagh, of a Tyrone, of a Donegal, a Galway if they had met them, a Dublin, And I mean, they've answered that fairly solidly. Like 32 points the last day, 120 yesterday, like 152 in 2 games against 2 Ulster sides is really, really impressive, And especially with how, like, I do rate.
Noted for their defensive excellence. Like 2 teams,
Yeah,
Tyrone and Matt, both noted for being really, really tight at the back, and Kerry sliced them open. The thing is, as well, Liam, like, it really, really reminds me of 2009. Like, this really reminds me of 2009, where they went into a quarter final written off, and then not only did they win at a canter, and all of a sudden everybody sits up and takes notice, and they're overnight saying Kerry are going to win the All Ireland, or Kerry are one of the front runners for the All Ireland. And what a final we have on our hands now, and you'd be a brave, brave man to pick against Kerry.
Yeah, no, I think when Kerry get into a position like this and they're playing the type of football that they are, then it's really hard to stop them. And really, as good as Donegal's defence is, and as good as Jim McGuinness will have them set up, trying to keep David Clifford quiet right now, it was like trying to keep Conor Callahan quiet during like that period of like 2017 to like 2020 in both codes, not just in football, in hurling as well. You just couldn't do it. It didn't matter who you put on him. It didn't matter who was marking him. It didn't matter who they tried to, pressure on him. He got the better of them every single time. Whether it was against Mayo, against Kerry, whether it was for Coola, David Clifford's now in that sort of period where he could just do no wrong on the pitch. So, and I mean, you have Seanie O'Shea as well. If you keep one of them quiet, brilliant, but you're not keeping the 2 of them quiet. So David could go out the next day, he might score 4 points and people think he's had a quiet game. Seanie O'Shea could score 8 points. He's just that type of player. And then you have to factor in how good Paddy Clifford has been. Like, his intelligence on the pitch is unbelievable at the moment. And yeah, like you said, like it's so much like 2009. Only obviously without Cork in it this time, it being Donegal this time. But yeah, no. Look, you'd be brave to bet against Kerry, but then you also have to remember the opponents that they are going up against. You'd be very brave to bet against Donegal as well. They were in this position last year. They fell to Galway last year, but they're now gone a step further. They've learned a lot from last year, and there's no way Jim McGuinness will want to let this All Ireland slide, especially after the comments he's had over the last number of months as well, with the Mayo game being in Dr. Hyde Park, and the comments after the Monaghan game saying that statement had nothing to do with them. It's brilliant. I'm delighted Donegal are sort of still in it because we still get all that drama. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the final now, and to get to watch Clifford again. I just love watching him play. He's so much fun to watch. Obviously, I'd never want to mark him. I think I'd fake an injury if I had to mark him in a match. But yeah, no. Jack O'Connor will have them primed and ready. I've no doubt about that. And yeah, like you said, for Kerry to lose his All Ireland final now and to beat a third Ulster side as well, which would just be insane, to be honest with you. It's going to take a top class performance, possibly the best performance under Jim McGuinness that they've ever had.
Oh, for sure. We're going to give another special word to David. Peter's commenting here. He says, watching Clifford live yesterday, he is just a different class, supreme skill, agility, and just has it all. His performance yesterday was absolutely superb. A goal and 9. You think about his performance against Armagh. You think about his performance against Cavan with the hat trick. He's on it this year. We were saying he needed a bit of a break. Kerry went out, at the semi-final stage last year. He got a bit of a break. He's come back with fire in his belly this year, and you saw he's a leader for that team, putting out the call to the Kerry fans for the quarter-final against Armagh, which the Kerry fans answered in droves, got behind the team. He is a leader and a world-class Gaelic footballer, and he's in his prime now. I think just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, because he is a generational talent.
Is there any chance we can get him to switch to soccer and get him to play for Ireland, possibly? We can do with a striker right now, and he's not bad at He's not bad at his little. Do you remember the goal he got a couple of years ago? Was it against Donegal, ironically, in the league, where he just did the fake shot and then just passed
against Galway? Yeah, against Galway.
Yes. At that moment, I thought, right, Stephen Kenny better get his phone number quick, because he looked primed and ready. But yeah, no, he's a special talent, and he's still only 25, 24, 25. He's still extremely young, so we've still got in my opinion, probably the best years to come from him. You know, he's still got a long way to go before even, like, if he's good now, if he's got another prime to go, then by God, I'd be worried for future defenders going up against him. But yeah, no, special player. And he's in a real good Kerry team at the moment, which they win this and they could potentially go on and win another one or two as well over the course of the next few years. You know, it'd be interesting to see whether Jack does stay on after this year. It's hard to know. If he does win it, then it wouldn't feel right in a way to just say, okay, move on now. Or maybe he wants to move on himself. I don't know. But yeah, no,
I think
whatever he decides to do.
I think he'll go. I think he'll go.
Regardless.
Yeah, I think he's been in the job now a long time. I think you're talking about, yeah, he came in 2022, but like Jack O'Connor, I think was Kerry manager for the first time in, was it 2004?
It
Came in,
was 20 years back, yeah.
but he was Kerry manager in 2009 as well until 2011. I'd say 2012 he left, and then Fitzmaurice came in 2013. He left after losing to Donegal in 2012. So again, there's another angle to the story. Jim McGuinness dealt the blow that knocked Kerry out, and that was Jack O'Connor's last. Yeah, Peter confirms it here. 2004, Jacko's first year. Like, were you even alive, man?
I was born in 2002. How dare you?
Okay.
I mean, I don't remember it, but
you know, I'm born 2001, so anything below 2001 feels like a baby. But
hey, I'm the same when I see 2004 or 2005. I'm thinking,
2004, I'm thinking, nah, yeah. That, like, I feel like that kind of is the way. I think there was some reel. Did you see the reel where it's like some guy working at a bar made it, and it was like, sorry, you have to be 21 to drink here, and it's like, oh, I am. I was born in 2004, and he has like an existential crisis because he's like, how was that 21 years ago?
Staring at the customer, going, "What?"
Yeah, pretty much like that. But anyway, we've discussed Kerry in length. We'll round up this discussion talking about Tyrone. And guys, everybody watching, if you have any questions about the game before we leave it, do throw them in there down below. Yeah, I think if we're talking about Tyrone in the grand scheme of things, O'Rourke coming in, it's really, really been a roller coaster of a year because it's gone up, then it's gone down, then it's gone up, then it's gone down. They've had a high and then a low soon after. I mean, you start off with the league, they get 7 points and they get relegated. Like, in other years, 7 points has been enough to get you to the final. Like, Mayo only had 2 points more than them and Mayo got into the final. Yeah. So even though Tyrone got relegated, you knew that they're good enough to mix it at Division 1. You knew that they're a Division 1 team. Then they go into the Ulster Championship. They started off well with a win against Cavan, and then they come razor close to Armagh, lose by a point, and in my opinion showed in that game why they were to be taken serious as All-Ireland contenders. Then they follow up that game by doubling down on why I thought they were to be taken serious as All-Ireland contenders, going away to Donegal and beating them in an incredible performance. And then they played Mayo, and they were so shit that day. And I remember being like, what? Like, how can you produce that performance? And then with the same team, same lads, home advantage, you put in such a dead performance. And then they put on an absolute tour de force against Cavan. Really, really look impressive, especially in the dying stages against Dublin, to kick on for home when Dublin flagged. And then they've such a flat performance in the second half against Kerry. They are very, very inconsistent. And I think if O'Rourke is to get them where they should be, because let's be honest, in terms of talent, Tyrone are sitting on an absolute goldmine, the likes of which you very, very rarely see. Like, they've won the under-20 and the minor All-Ireland this year. Incredible talent coming through. And they've got the lads like Shea O'Hare, the Canavan brothers, who have come through from previous under-20 All-Ireland winning teams. And Owen McElholm's the player of the year, and he's in with the seniors now. They have a gold mine of talent there. O'Rourke, to me, is a very good manager to take this team to the next level. But that consistency, they need to sort that out for future years. I think a good example is Cork in the hurling. Cork used to be very inconsistent. They used to be able to put it up to teams, and then they go out and have a terrible performance one time, leave you scratching your head. Pat Ryan has come in, got that consistency down to the ground, and Cork, you know more or less every day what you're going to get from them. Tyrone need to follow that same plan.
Yeah, they do. The only thing with the Mayo one I would say is that I'd put that down to more to Mayo than anything else, because they are just a team that they lose the Cavan and then they go and beat Tyrone and then they almost like get a draw with Donegal. That was just Mayo written all over more than anything, I think. And ironically, I think wasn't that Mayo game the only 2 goals that Tyrone had conceded in the championship all year? Like, they'd kept a clean sheet against Donegal, against Armagh, against Dublin, which is really, really impressive. Obviously conceded the goal yesterday, but yeah, no, they are a team that are good enough, and they are a coming team. And like you mentioned, the players that they have there. I mean, Owen Macomb is someone who I predicted to win the Young Footballer of the Year at the start of the year. Now he's won Under 20 Footballer of the Year, so it's kind of different. But like, he is that good, and I wasn't too surprised to see him decided to be started yesterday over Peter Hare. I wasn't too surprised. And like, he started well, probably faded out just a small bit, had one chance in the second half, I remember, and everything was just going well, and then he kicked it short. But that will come in time. He's still young, and he has plenty of big years ahead of him. And look, when you have the Canavan brothers, I mean, Dara was just unbelievable again yesterday. When you have Mahi Donnelly, when you have these sorts of players, and the defence that they have, the likes of Devlin, the likes of Pork Hamsey, when you've Niall Morgan in goals, they have a real solid team there that can win in All-Ireland and can absolutely challenge Donegal to win the Ulster title next year, and Armagh to win the Ulster title. But like you said, it's just about getting that consistency there, because like you said, the Dublin performance, it wasn't the best performance from them. Now, you kind of said it yourself, I think, that had the game gone on a bit longer, then margin may have become bigger, but it was still not a great performance from Tyrone, I don't think. Like, they deserved to win, there was no question about that, but it's just why I felt Kerry would just win the game. I just felt Kerry had another level to them, whereas Tyrone, I felt, just were maybe stumbling over the line a small bit, and like, even though they bet Donegal as well, they still left it late to beat them as well, because Donegal came back into that game. It's just Tyrone finished the game well in the end too. So I suppose, look, Tyrone they are in a good place. I think they are in a real solid place, and they are a team that, given the talent that they have both at minor and under 20 level, they will win an All-Ireland in the next 5 years. I am absolutely guaranteed about that. Or at least they'll win maybe 2 or 3 in the next 10 years, which will be really good for Tyrone. But they need to get that consistency right. And it was kind of the frustrating thing with yesterday. I never felt in the second half that Kerry were going to lose the game. And look, it's obviously tough going up against that Kerry team, and especially when they did what they don't usually do, and they slow the game down, because they're usually all about just absolute bombarding attacks with their wing backs coming up, their midfield coming up, fast paced and everything like that. But they just looked a bit too much in control against Tyrone. I never got the sense that they were going to turn the game around, grab a late goal, grab a few late points, and turn the game on its head. But I still think it's been a good year for them. Like, you're losing to Kerry by 6 points, you lose to the All-Ireland champions in an Ulster semi-final away from home as well, wasn't it? Or was that was away from home, or was that yeah? I think was that in Clonus? I can't remember.
Definitely wasn't in Healy Park, I know that.
Yeah, but still, only to lose to them by a point, and to beat Donegal, the now All-Ireland finalists, by 3 points. And to beat Dublin, which is still never an easy thing to do, even if Dublin are going into maybe a bit of a transitional period at this point with the players that you have lost. It's still been a very, very good year, and there's no doubt in my mind that if they can just get a bit of consistency, like I said, Cork is a real good example. If they can get that level of consistency, or what Limerick had over the last number of years, or what Dublin had for that period of time that they won the 6 All-Irelands in a row, then we could be looking at a scary opposition over the next couple of years. Whether that will be Malachy O'Rourke in charge of them or not, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, no, I still think it's been a decent year from Tyrone. I expect them to get out of Division 2 next year with ease, comfortably, to be honest with you. And it could be, I think we could be in for a good few years from them, that's for sure.
I fully agree. I think that there's bright times ahead for Tyrone. Yesterday just wasn't their day. But I do think there are examples where they need to learn from. I think a good example is Tipperary in the hurling. I know that Tipperary are in the All-Ireland final this year, so it's probably not the best time to use that as an example. But Tipperary definitely over the last 5 years have struggled when it comes to balancing between their under-20 stars that have come through and the players that were still there from the Liam Sheedy era and everything like that, like the Mars, the McGraths. They struggled in terms of how much do we rely on the new crop versus the more established members of the team. But one thing's for sure, Kerry absolutely deserved that semi-final victory in spades. They're into the All-Ireland final again. for the first time since 2023, so not that long a wait, but they will want to get their hands on another All-Ireland title, and Donegal are the team that are standing in their way. And speaking of that, we're going to move on to the second All-Ireland Senior Football Championship semi-final. Donegal 326, Meath 15 points at Croke Park. Donegal blow Meath away in an awesome second half display, hitting 3 goals in the second half from Oisin Gallen, Kieran Moore and Conor O'Donnell, and maintaining an 80% conversion rate in that second half. Shout out to the Gaelic Statsman for that one to end Meath's dream. Liam, this truly was an intimidating performance by Donegal. Meath had no answer for them, and their final against Kerry is going to be some game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it should be a real cracker of an All-Ireland final. I say that I hope, like I said, I hope to God it's not like 2014, because that was a real, I mean, apart from O'Donoghue's goal in the first half, it just never sparked into life. It just never felt like it was a real, it didn't really feel like it was a final. If anything, the two semi-finals felt like finals, you know, the one that they played against, Donegal played against G, and then the drama down in the Gaelic grounds between Kerry and Mayo. But yeah, no, Meath today, they've had a brilliant season. They've had big wins in the championship over the likes of Dublin, over the likes of Cork, over the likes of Kerry, and knocking out Galway the last day, which was very, really impressive. But yeah, there was a level today that they just couldn't step up for. And it was kind of a shame because like the score was 6-7 after 14 minutes, you know, and then there was literally 12 minutes of play where there wasn't a score, you know, and you were thinking at that stage, right, they're still in the game. They're still, you know, there's only 2 points in it. They had 6 after 26 minutes, you know, can Meath still, you know, Mayo's certainly not there anyway. Can Meath kick on from here maybe? Losing, like I mentioned there, Brian Menton, losing him was crucial, was a real bad moment for Meath. And yeah, I mean, Donegal landed 5 scores, 5 scores in a row, and they led 13-8 at halftime. And I would have hoped that Meath would have came out in the second half and just gotten a bit of fire in their belly, maybe, you know, maybe there was a passionate speech at halftime. And then once Oisin Gallen's goal went in, I just felt, right, that's game over. I kind of never got the sense then. Just the way Donegal, when they go 7-8 points up against an opposition like Meath, you just don't feel like the result's going to turn from there, you know, and especially the way McGuinness sets up. He knows how to grind these games out as well as a manager. I mean, I think the fact that Michael Murphy, and now people are saying he could have been, I think, limping off or something like that, but the fact that he was being taken off after 46 minutes, I think, tells you everything. But then, I mean, it's one thing taking off Michael Murphy. It's another thing then just bringing on Paddy McBrearty. You know, it's not really fair in a way, to be honest with you. Like it's like taking off prime Neymar, but you're bringing on like prime Bale or something like that. You know, you're just like, here, like it's not fair. You know, and then
their strength and depth crept up as well. Like I was looking as well, they were bringing on Darragh O'Boyle, and I was like, Darragh O'Boyle coming off the bench as well. O'Boyle was kicking over 2-pointers for fun in the league, and he can't even start. Like, and McBrearty's coming in off the bench. You've got Jamie Brennan on the bench. Like, their strength and depth is outrageous. Caolan McGonigal as well, another class player that can't get a start in this game. Jason McGee as well didn't start in this game. Their strength and depth is ridiculous.
Yes, sure. I remember you and I speaking after the down Donegal game and how good Darragh O'Boyle was at the 2-pointers. And now the fact that he's not even starting is just remarkable. But it just shows the strength and depth that Donegal have. And that could be a key factor for them going into the final in a couple of weeks' time. But look, when they had to kick on, they kicked on. And from there, then once by the time Conor O'Donnell got the third goal with just under 10 minutes left, the game was gone at that stage. And that kind of just further confirmed it, you know. And Jimmy could start smiling at that point, you know, because he just knew they were back in a first final since 2014. And yeah, look, Meath just had no answer. It's as simple as that. You know, they didn't get the same sort of impact from Jordan Morris or Matty Costello. I mean, they got 2 points from between the two of them. You know, I mean, for Donegal to do that is really, really impressive. Now, Owen Frank got 5 points, and he was somebody I did highlight that could have a big say in this game during the week, but they just didn't have enough firepower up front, and they just couldn't keep out the goals. They were very well worked by Donegal, but Meath will probably be looking back at those going, right, they were probably avoidable. But nevertheless, look, it's still been a fantastic season for Meath. You know, had they won the Leinster title, then, you know, my God, they would have been looking back at this year with hugely fond memories. But I still think Meath still have a bright future ahead. They've got a lot of good players in that team. And like the teams that they have beaten this year, like they weren't flukes at the end of the day. You know, they absolutely weren't. They bet Kerry fair and square. They had a good turnaround against Cork. They bet G fair and square as well, I think it'd be fair to say. And
Galway as well.
and Galway, yeah, no, Galway had no complaints that day. So, you know, it's still been a good season, but Donegal, I mean, they were setting out their stall at the start of the year to win the All Ireland. And it's clear now that, I mean, as well, can we just speak about how Michael Murphy just left, has come back, and now look at him, he's like he's never left. Do you know, I don't know.
I was shocked by that because when Murphy came back, because I remember I was at the, and sorry to jump in, but just while I was on this point, I was at the All Ireland semi final last year with my dad, Donegal, Galway, and we were sitting there, and like that game, do you remember, was in the melting pot with 20 minutes left, and I remember turning and saying to my dad, like, God, this would be amazing now if Donegal had Michael Murphy to bring him in now with
Exactly.
20 minutes to go just to get them over the line. And when he came back, honestly, I thought that was going to be his role. I thought he would be doing what Paddy McBrearty is doing now. I thought they'd bring him in, throw him in the full forward line and kick the ball into him and see what he could do. I sure as hell didn't expect him to be out around the midfield from the start, being the target for every kick out again. And look, the reality is, it's not completely unlikely that Donegal brought him back in with that intention. And then maybe he was just tearing it up at training, dominating every kick out at training from Sean Patton, that they were like, he's still the man. He's still the man.
6 points today.
Unreal.
Like, that just says everything about him. Like you said, dropping deep. He looks fitter than he ever has in his life. Do you know? I don't know what it is with these older statesmen in the GEA. They're getting fitter and fitter. They're looking fitter now than what they did 10 years previous. You know, the lads that are at club level, I noticed it as well. Lads who are 34, 35. What's Murphy now? I don't know. How old's Murphy now? Is he 30?
I swear he's 36.
35. He's 35. But he looks fitter now than what he did 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? But like, their awareness, their intelligence on the pitch, and I mean, Jesus, his shooting is still as good as it's ever been. It's probably even improved to a degree, to be honest with you. He's one of the most natural kickers of a ball I've ever seen in my life, and he's a real leader in that Donegal team. And John, as much as I'd like to see Kerry win the All Ireland for Clifford. If Michael Murphy wins an All Ireland with Donegal, I'm not going to object to that either. You know, I'd be delighted for him, because he is a player that I'm delighted he has at least one All Ireland, so he doesn't go to the grave without one. But he's someone who you'd feel deserves at least two. Do you know, it's the way that I feel bad for Joe Canning that he never got more than one, because he was a player that deserved more than one. But for Murphy, he's the same sort of boat. I think if he won two All Irelands, it'd be just marvellous for him, and especially after losing 2014 as well. You know, to finish off the story 11 years later, to get revenge on Kerry would be just unbelievable. But yeah, no, look, and it'd be brilliant for the rest of the panel as well. The likes of the O'Donnells, the likes of Kieran Moore, Oisin Gallen, you know, they're these sorts of players. Patter Morgan, you know, McHugh, like just players like these who have given so many good years to Donegal football. And yeah, no, they'll be that a lot of us ranked this as them as potential favourites at the start of the year, and well, they're now, it's, in my opinion, now it's a 50-50 All-Ireland final. I don't think there's a favourite in it, because they both play kind of different brands of football to a degree, but they're also really, really solid at what they do. And Kerry's panel, I would probably say Donegal's panel is probably stronger, I will say, but I think Kerry's starting 15 is maybe stronger. They're very evenly matched teams, and I think we're in for a really closely contested All-Ireland final. It could be like Clare and Cork and the hurling last year. We could be getting extra time here, and it could be, especially with the two rules, the 2-pointer rules as well. It could be a real special occasion.
Certainly could. Peter here says, lads, there will have to be a third edition of Jimmy's winning matches. Who knows? Peter also says, Murphy, the fine wine of football. I mean, that is a lovely way to put it. Michael Murphy just keeps getting better and better, it seems. 35 years of age, never looked so good on a Gaelic football pitch. Unbelievable display from him. And to be honest, when he came back, I didn't expect him to be as central as he has been. I thought maybe he would be doing what McBrearty is doing, coming in for half an hour off the bench to give everything he's got. But he's the midfielder, the target for kickouts. He's dropping deep. He's in the full forward line. He's everywhere. And it must be a case that he was just dominating training and they were like, right, Murphy's still the king. He's still the man. He's still our best kick out option, everything like that. He has been sensational. And as you were saying, the story going into the final, if Kerry win it, it's absolutely superb for them because they were written off and they were getting hounded before that game against Armagh. So it's an amazing story. If Donegal win one, with Michael Murphy returning, with Jim McGuinness returning, doing it almost exactly the same as he did it the first time, with Donegal back in 2012, it's unbelievable. Plus, they get the revenge on Kerry for the 2014 final. But if Kerry win that All-Ireland final, they get revenge. But Jack O'Connor gets revenge on Donegal because Jack O'Connor, the last time he was Kerry manager back in 2012, that defeat to Donegal spelled the end of his reign with Kerry there. So plenty of storylines going into what will be a sensational final.
Like then,
yeah, it's like a wrestling storyline. Like that's what makes people care as well. Yeah, I know I'm a massive UFC fan, and I don't know if anybody here else is, but have you ever heard of Chael Sonnen?
Yeah.
Uncle Chael, undefeated, undisputed, anything. But Chael Sonnen basically was talking about UFC fights, and I think it's applicable to all sports. He was saying that everybody forgets the 5 W's: who, what, when, where. And the last one is why. And the why is always the most important. Why? Why should I care about this? Why should I give a shit? The stories coming into this final are fantastic. The rivalry between those counties, the prospect for both of them getting revenge, the why is superb. And that's why we're going to have a brilliant final. And why as well? Because we've both seen them torch teams in the All-Ireland semi-finals. They both look in superb form. And someone has to dip here. The unstoppable force meets the immovable object. I'll let you decide which one is which, but it's going to be an incredible All-Ireland final. Touching then on Meath, because we are going to move on then to the Táilteann Cup final. But I'd like to speak to Meath fans, to anybody watching the pod here, because I'm kind of in a similar boat to you in terms of the Dublin hurling side of things, in that we both had amazing years. We both had amazing All-Ireland quarter-final victories. We both had wins this year that nobody would have anticipated that we would have got. And it ended in a bit of a shit show in an All-Ireland semi-final. So the thing is that you can't let a bad day overcloud what was a very, very good year. And Neil O'Callaghan and Robbie Brennan, both in their first year as manager, both managers that you can build a project with. And both managers that will be there, in my opinion, for 5 years, 6 years, and can build something with their county. So for me, as fans, it was still a brilliant year. You beat Dublin, you ended Dublin's reign in the Leinster Championship. You beat Kerry fair and square in a very, very impressive win to top your group and go straight through to the quarterfinals. And then you beat Galway, who have been consistently there or thereabouts over the last 5 years. So for me, it was a bad day, but that team ain't going nowhere. That team is not going nowhere. And I truly believe, we're talking about Tyrone. I think Meath winning All-Ireland in the next decade as well. I'm not sure when, but I think they have too much talent to not win one. And I think with Robbie Brennan there, they've got a fantastic manager and someone to build that team with them. But Donegal are here, ready, right now. And I think Donegal have to win one now. 2014 feels like, in my opinion, an All-Ireland that they left behind them. And Jim will be desperate to put right those wrongs. We have a couple of comments in here. Peter says Leinster more intriguing next year. Absolutely. Yeah. I guarantee if Dublin play Meath next year in the Leinster final, obviously we don't have the draw, but if Dublin play Meath in the Leinster final, the crowd for that will be spectacular. Brian, I know if you're watching Dublin Meath in Croke Park, there's nothing like it when there's 60, 70, 80,000 people there. That's a proper rivalry, and it was so... What?
When you don't know the result either, like you did.
When you don't know the results, yeah. Oh my God, it was so depressing going and watching Meath over the last 10 years just roll over for Dublin. And Brennan came in and actually put a fire up their ass and said, like, we can beat these lads. Because we've been doing it at minor and under 20 and everything like that. Meath went out, stuck it to Dublin, and now the whole script has changed. The whole Leinster Championship next year is different because you can't rule out Kildare winning the Táilteann Cup. You can't rule out Louth doing it again. They responded really well to losing Mickey Hart. Who says they're not going to respond really well to losing Ger Brennan? Yeah. Dublin will have a vengeance to get that back. Offaly are on the rise. Westmeath are still very solid. There's a lot of teams in there that you can't discount of getting a result in the Leinster Championship next season. And I'm sure I've forgotten someone. But yeah, Leinster football on the up. Peter says, toughest year to select the All-Stars and Player of the Year. It's a very good shout because every time I've liked the team, they've always been shite the next week.
So who do you like this?
What?
Who do you like this week?
No comment.
Matthew Hurley, if you're watching, he said he likes Cork.
Stephen Colin here says Clifford versus McCall will be class to see. That is going to be some battle between them two. My God. Right, we are going to move on then. Kildare are the Táilteann Cup champions for 2025, beating Limerick by a goal in 24 to 2-19 in Croke Park. They hang on. Limerick's last gasp attack. The shot flies over the bar. Kildare hang on. 124 to 219. They win the Táilteann Cup for 2025. And the thing that impressed me the most about Kildare's performance in this game is when Limerick hit the back of the net for their second goal, Kildare found themselves, that was on 48 minutes, Kildare found themselves 2 points behind, and it seemed the momentum was with Limerick, but Kildare responded with 8 points in the next 15 minutes from Brian McLaughlin. Dara Kieran were player of the match, Kevin Feely, Colin Dalton, Tommy Gill, all on the score sheet, and then they showed the defensive solidity to hold that till the end. Deserving Táilteann Cup champions for 2025. What a first year it's been for Brian Flanagan.
Yeah, no, it's been a brilliant year for Brian Flanagan. You know, there's no question about that. Of course, I'm devastated to see Kildare win it. Something in football. I've nothing against them in the hurling. I was delighted to see them win the Joe McDonough, but with the football, not so much. And especially after they knocked us out in the quarterfinals, I'm still not over it. I'm still bitter over it. But no, look, in all seriousness, yeah, it was vital that they won the Táilteann Cup this season. Yeah, thanks, Peter. But they did it in, I would say, not the most convincing of fashions. I think it'd be fair to say, and I don't mean that as like disrespect, but I think the way they won the semi-final over Fermanagh wasn't the best game in the world. It was, I mean, Brian said it himself, it wasn't good luck finding highlights from the game. They bet us by a point, which could have gone either way. And then yesterday, like you said, I mean, Limerick were pushing and pushing until the very last minute for a goal, and they were in front with 20 minutes to go, you know. So Limerick really, really put it up to them. And that's the thing, Limerick can be fierce proud of their efforts this year as well. I mean, for a Division 4, I know they've won the league in the end, but for a Division 4 side to be reaching as far as the Táilteann Cup final and to be within 2 points of a side who at the start of the year probably maybe even had aspirations to try and win the Leinster title as well. And had they beaten Louth, there's no reason why they couldn't have beaten Meath in a Leinster final. Then it's nothing short of a brilliant achievement. I think Jimmy Lee has done a marvellous job for them. And as he said yesterday after the match, no regrets. It's been an unbelievable season for us and could take enormous pride from the year. And there's a good building foundation for them over the next couple of years. You'd be hopeful that over the next couple of years they can get back to what they sort of were in like the late 2000s and the early 2010s, that they were competing with the likes of Kerry, competing with the likes of Cork in the Munster Championship. So, and look, this defeat will hurt when you take into account they are a Division 4 side. They're going up to Division 3 next year. But what a fantastic year. I mean, beating Westmeath in Portlaoise in the final group game, to knock Wexford out of the Táilteann Cup, to beat Wicklow in the way they did in the semi-final when they looked dead and buried at one stage. And to be narrowly beaten in a final is fantastic for them. And yeah, look, it just felt like Kildare, it felt like they had the game in the balance at half time. They were 113 to 1-9 up. Kerwin's goal after 20 minutes felt like a big moment. It pushed them 7 in front. And at that stage, you felt, okay, Kildare are going to kick on from here. They're going to probably go another 5-6 points in front, and this game could be dead and buried soon enough. But credit to Limerick, they came back fighting. They got the next 5 scores in a row. They reduced it to 2. They kept themselves in it the whole time, getting it back to 1 point when Peter Nash's point was just before Killian Ryan's goal. And it looked up in the moment that a shock was on the cards, but in fairness to Kildare, they kicked it up a notch with Kerwin and Dalton to the fore. And yeah, look, despite the final 2 points from Limerick, Rory O'Brien's one being extremely, extremely close to the goal, I'd say Brian Flanagan's heart was pumping, going absolute 200 mile an hour at that point. But yeah, look, he must have been a relieved man when that ball went over the bar. And yeah, it's a big win for Kildare. They haven't won a championship of any kind in such a long time. So for them to get this one over the line, and you've seen what it's done to the likes of of Down. I think they're a real solid Ulster side now and could be a team that can start to challenge for Ulster titles again over the next number of years. Meath, you see what it's done to them now. They're All Ireland semi-finalists. Westmeath, okay, maybe Westmeath have been a bit more unlucky in terms of results because they performed really well over the course of the year. Just the results didn't go their way a lot of the time in both league and championship. But it just shows what winning a Táilteann Cup can do for a county. And with how competitive Leinster is set to be next year now, this could be a real catapult for Kildare. And yeah, for Kildare now, they'll be aiming for the Leinster title next year against the likes of Dublin, against the likes of Meath, against the likes of Louth. So real big win for Kildare. And look, congrats to them, begrudgingly, congrats to them. But look, they deserved it in the end.
No, I think they did. I think they did enough to hold on. Peter here says 2000, our last win in Croke. That's for the silverware, the national silverware in championship football. But then also their last Leinster title was in 2000 as well. That was Glen Ryan lifting up the cup that day when they beat, I think it was Dublin in that Leinster final. But that was a Leinster final replay. And that was when Dublin actually hadn't won a Leinster title in 5 years. So hopefully we're not going to repeat that trend. But anyway, for Kildare, you mentioned it there. Meath winning the Táilteann Cup, and they've gone on, obviously, to get to a semi-final. Obviously, today they didn't go too well, but they've still made massive strides. Down, won the Táilteann Cup. They're competing now in every game that they played. They were superb in the championship this season, even though they didn't make it too far, but they still died with their boots on. They competed in every single game that they played. They put it up to the best teams in the country. They're clearly taking steps forward. Westmeath, exactly the same. Táilteann Cup winners. Westmeath never give anybody an easy game, no matter who they're playing. There's clear evidence there that the Táilteann Cup, winning that indicates that your trajectory is on the way up and you will be competing with the big teams very, very soon. Kildare have, the backdrop of under-20 All-Ireland success, Leinster success at the various grades. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time before they break through at senior level and win a Leinster title. In my opinion, that's the way I look at it. There's only a matter of time before that happens. Brian Flanagan, as manager, what are you expecting from this current Kildare crop? How far do you think they can go?
In terms of an All-Ireland, it's hard to know right now. We'll probably have to wait for them to maybe win a Leinster title first to see where they're truly at, and to, I suppose, sort of like Meath, get a real big win in the championship, maybe even like a Dublin, even though, like I said, they're in a bit of a transitional period at this stage. But you saw what a win for Meath against Dublin did to them. That if they could get a win against Dublin in the championship, or like Meath in the group stages next year, I know the format's changing, but if they could get a win against an Armagh, a Tyrone, even a Monaghan, or a Galway, even a Mayo, just a team like that. If they could, even a Mayo, even though they got one against them in 2018 with the Newbridge or nowhere, but if they could just get a big statement win like that, then we could start maybe talking about them as potential All-Ireland contenders over the next couple of years. But certainly Leinster, if we're doing the 5-10 year predictions again, then they will win a Leinster soon. I don't think there's any question about that. I think or at least they're on the road that they're on at the moment. They certainly have the capability to do it. And winning's a habit. Winning becomes a habit. If you win the Táilteann Cup, then you have belief that you can win more. And certainly with the way that they competed with Louth in a Leinster semi-final as well, really it was a kick of a ball and they were going to extra time. I believe was it 3 points in the end. So there's not much between Kildare and sort of the rest of the pack in Leinster. So I think they will win one soon. In terms of an All-Ireland, I feel like they need to get that one sort of big win first before we can add them to that conversation.
Yeah, I feel like that's the next step. Go beat a Dublin, go beat a Kerry, go beat someone the way that Meath have. Meath have beaten Galway, Kerry and Dublin all in the 1 year. Kildare need over the next couple of years to take that step, and I think with Brian Flanagan as manager, I think they have the right man behind the wheel. So congratulations to Kildare. Sensational performance, winning the Táilteann Cup, sensational achievement, and a brilliant first year for Brian Flanagan. And I look forward, as a Dublin fan, I do look forward to seeing what the future brings, because that rivalry between Dublin and Kildare, late 2000s, early 2010s, was one of my favourite Leinster rivalries. The Kieran McGeeney Kildare team and that Pat Gilroy Dublin team, there were some epic encounters between those two teams. We got to give a shout as well, Liam, to New York. 20 points, London 213. New York win their third junior championship in a row with the win over London today. Brian Coughlin was the main man, landing 9 points. Garrod Kennedy also landed 4. Massive congratulations to New York.
Yeah, a great win for New York. Geez, they're taking over hurling and football at the moment, aren't they? They're going to be winning Liam and Sam very soon if they keep this up. But yeah, no, fantastic win for them. It's amazing to think that it's an All Ireland final and it's New York versus London. Who would have ever seen that coming? To be honest with you, but yeah, no, look, fair play to them. Getting a big win in Croke Park, and especially after the. What I love about this is playing the two games in 3 days. Like you saw London the other day beating Kilkenny and New York winning the other day as well in such a short time period as well. To get yourselves ready to go and play in Croke Park then 2 days later is unbelievable. Yeah, Wally Walsh playing for yeah, that's unbelievable. You gotta respect Walter Walsh for that. But yeah, no, look, congratulations to New York. It's a massive achievement for them. To play in Croke Park is a massive achievement anyway, but to win in Croke Park, to win a junior title, is absolutely sensational, and potentially could be having some of those players stepping up to play for their seniors over the next couple of years into Táilteann Cup as well, and in the Connacht Championship, which would be brilliant to see. Like I mentioned here, Gerard Kennedy scored 4 points. Brian Coughlin, 9 points. He was just absolutely on fire. Emmett Loughlin scored 2 points off the bench. So yeah, just overall, fantastic to see them win. Probably the better side overall. It would be probably a fair argument to make. And look, despite the best efforts of London, just not to be in the end. But yeah, massive congratulations to New York.
Yeah, no, they'll be partying tonight. There's no question about it, and I'm sure town is absolutely packed with all Donegal fans as well right now as we speak. So there'll be a good buzz in Dublin tonight, no question about it. So massive congratulations to New York on that achievement. We're going to move on now. The All Ireland Intermediate LGFA semi-final. Tyrone 4-17, Westmeath 4-14, and this was after extra time in Port Sean McDermott. So for the second game in a row. For the second game oh my goodness gracious. For the second game in a row, Tyrone have survived a battle after extra time. They beat Westmeath 4-17 to 4-14 after extra time, and this one at Port Sean McDermott. It was the late goal in the second half of extra time by Circa Gormley, which was Tyrone's fourth in this 8-goal thriller, which gets them through to the final. What a game this was.
Yeah, and I was even I was at another match today, and I was listening to Frank Brown, the Westmeath manager, on the way home on Midlands 103, and God bless him, he's an absolute gent, and he spoke really well about his players. He praised his players afterwards, saying, "Listen, all I asked for was hard work and for the girls to give their absolute everything, and they did. And there's not much more I can ask." And that's what you want to hear from your manager, backing you even after a tough defeat like that, which is tough to take because Westmeath, they lost the previous game against Tyrone 6-11 to 7 points. And look, they already had a knockout place secured, so they probably weren't maybe going into that game as prepared as maybe as best as they could have. But to turn it around like this is terrific from them in such a short time period as well. And like Anna Jones, and Sarah Dillon, I was at their game against Cavan, and those two players are just a joy to watch. They're unbelievable. When Anna Jones in particular, like the way she's kind of like the Michael Murphy of ladies football in the intermediate grade. Like it's not just the scores that she gets, but the way she fights for the ball and gives confidence to the rest of the attack. And, anytime you throw the ball up to her, 9 times out of 10, she's going to win it. And, she was on fire again today, scoring 2-5. Sarah Dillon with 7 points. They're just two unbelievable players, and they represent the Westmeath jersey with such pride. It's unbelievable. Lucy McCartan as well. The McCartans in that panel as well are fantastic players. Fiona Coyle is a terrific captain. Lucy Power is a fantastic centre back as well. So, yeah, look, it's a shame for Westmeath. I can't believe as an Offaly man I'm feeling sorry for them, but I am, because they're actually lovely people in the panel, and the manager as well, Frank Brown. I get on with him fierce well anytime I've spoken to him. But yeah, like I said, Tyrone surviving extra time. Again, I genuinely thought they were dead and buried against Fermanagh. I was keeping up with the end of it, and I genuinely thought Fermanagh had them knocked out, but they just about got over the line in that. And to then, yeah, going to extra time again. They must be absolutely knackered at this point. I don't know how they're going to be able to get themselves up for a final against Laois in Croke Park in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, no, look, fair play to them. Aoife Horace, it's 2-6 again. She's been on fire for them this season, and as well, Karen McCrossan as well. Like they've been really, really solid for Tyrone this season. And look, in the end, you probably say Tyrone deserved the victory. In the end, they just had a bit more in the tank in extra time, and it's unfortunate for Westmeath. But I still think it's been a fantastic year for them. And yeah, look, Tyrone won't fear Laois in the final. As good as Laois are, they won't fear them at all. And if they've shown their energy levels, their fitness levels, which you'd come to expect with any Tyrone team, their fitness levels is always going to be top notch. But to get over the line in two real crunch ties and real two sort of different ties in a way, against Fermanagh, an Ulster rival, and against Westmeath, it's real good going from them, and they won't be fearing Laois in the final.
Yeah, look, I think that final between Laois and Tyrone is going to be an absolutely superb game. And in terms of trying to predict it, I mean, you have to look at Laois and take into account they just hit 5 goals against Monaghan in their semi-final. Moan Ernie with 2-2, Emma Lawler with 2-2. There's two absolutely fantastic players there leading the line for Laois. But for Tyrone, like Aoife Horst with 2-6, Circa Gormley got that crucial goal next time. She's been amazing. Niamh O'Neill with 1-3 was absolutely fantastic as well. Cara McCrossan with 2 points. Chloe McCaffrey with 3 points. The thing that I'm going to shade it for Tyrone is, like that saying that sometimes you have to lose a final to win a final. The hurt that they had from losing that intermediate final to Leitrim last year was very apparent. And in situations like the extra time against Fermanagh, where Emer Smith kicks the free to drag them back and force extra time, this situation again extra time against Westmeath, in those circumstances, it is very easy to give up. It's very easy to go, we've had a long road here. But in absolutely gritting your teeth, biting down on the gum shield and being like, no, we're not losing this, we're winning this, we're getting back to the final, we're putting right the wrongs of last year, just tells me that Tyrone have a steely determination that you can't buy. And I'm going to shade the intermediate final to them, as good as Laois have been. What are you thinking?
I'm actually going to give it to Laois. I think they're a team that won it.
An awfully man expressing
I know.
and saying that Laois are going to win.
I'm a terrible man. I should give up on the channel. I should just stop doing it. I'm a terrible person. No, look, I just think they won the final in 2022. And I think that, again, they had to come through extra time against Wexford as well, which was no easy feat for them either. And I just think when Mo Nerney is in the form that she's in at the moment, it's going to take a real good Tyrone defence to stop her. And even Emma Lawler as well. You know, she was superb the last day, superb again today. And I like this Laois team. I think they're a real solid team. I think Fiona Dooley in the midfield as well is really, really solid. I think their full back line is really, really good. I'm gonna shade it. I'm gonna shade it to Laois. Not that I'm sitting here and thinking that I want them to, because like obviously of where I'm from, but I just have a feeling that they won it before a couple of years ago, and I feel like they'd be absolutely determined to get back to senior grade because they feel they are a senior team, and I think it's going to be really tight. I will say that I don't think it's going to be a one-sided final, but I just think when Mo Nerney and Emma Lawler are in the form that they're in, I think it's going to take a really, really good Tyrone defence to stop them. Now, if they can, then there's absolutely no reason to suggest why Tyrone won't win it. But yeah, no, I'm going to give it to Stephen Duff's side. I think they're going to get over the line, and not that I'm exactly excited to be saying that, but and hopefully Stephen will still speak to me in the next few days to preview the final. But still, yeah, no, I'm gonna shade it to Laois.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. It's well made. We'll dive into that Laois game now. Laois 5-7, Monaghan 1-12 in Pearse Park. As I mentioned, 5-star Laois. Mo Nerney with 2-2, Emma Lawler with 2-2. Ciara Crowley got to go to goal. Emily Lacey got a point. Fiona Dooley got a point, and Lauren Carney got a point. That was the scorers for Laois. Monaghan are out of the championship. Laois move on to the final.
Yeah, and I mean for Laois, they had 4 goals by half time, which was even more remarkable. Like I remember, we were hearing it on the radio earlier, and just to hear the score, to hear half time, and to hear 4-4, I was like, what? Like that can't be real. Surely he means it's 4 points each, but no, literally 4 goals and 4 points to 1-6. It was remarkable. And look, Monaghan, they kept fighting. You know, they brought it back at one stage to 3 points here on it says here on the 48th minute. It was 4-5 to 111. So they really, really dug deep, got it back to 2 points, and then Emma Lawler's 59th minute goal was the icing on the cake that they needed. And I mean, shout out Lauren Carney as well. She rescued the late point against Wexford the last day to force extra time, and again today she got the final score of the game to put the final nail in the coffin. So if you need an absolute clincher, like if the game's in the melting pot the next day, then I know who my money's on to get the last score of the game to either win it or level it. But fantastic for Laois. You know, as we say, goals win games, and that was certainly the case here.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. And that final at the intermediate level should be an absolute cracker. We have the senior semi-finals next weekend, but we also have the junior semi-finals today as well. We'll start off with this one: Antrim 310, Sligo 110 in St. Tyrone Park. Antrim hit a hat-trick of goals to oversee the challenge presented to them by Sligo when this one: Maria O'Neill with 2-2, Avian Monaghan with the other goal, Brona Devlin and Anya Tuberty also chipped in with 2 points. For Sligo, we have to give a shout to Leah Duffy with 1-4. Anya McDaniel also hit 2 points. But they ultimately had no answer for Antrim here on this one. And from day one, I've thought Antrim are going to actually win this relatively easy, this junior championship. They've been really, really solid all year. You talk about how good Fermanagh have been in intermediate. Antrim beat Fermanagh in the Division 4 final. They beat Leitrim as well, who were a senior side. They've been really, really good. It's a surprise that they're down in junior. I don't think they will be for much longer.
No, they're a team that's too good for junior. And I mean, for a long time, it was rather business as usual. It was comfortable. There was 9 points in it with 10 minutes to go, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Leah Duffy gets a goal. She puts over a free. Rhiannon Smith gets 2 points in a row, and all of a sudden, with 2 minutes to go, there's 3 points in it. So it just showed you that maybe there was a lapse of concentration there. Maybe they were thinking too much about, okay, the match is won. We can move on and start thinking about the date to Croke Park. But look, Avian Monaghan got the goal in the last minute, and it really, really killed off the game at that point. But yeah, like you said, Antrim, they're a team that should be higher than the junior grade. You know, they're now look, you're never too good for it until you win it. But in this case, I think they are a team that are too good. I think they'll be a team that will be looking at Louth with absolutely no fear in the final, despite how good Louth were against Longford today. But real good solid win for Antrim. It's unfortunate for Sligo. You know, they showed great character to get themselves back into the game and within a fighting chance in the last minute, but just wasn't enough for them.
Yeah, and Antrim for me, too good, too strong. But they will play against Louth in that junior final. Louth 114, Longford 6 points in St. Tyrone Park. A controlled, dominant result here for Louth. Really, really impressive. Longford didn't really have much of an answer for them. Kate Flood hit 9 points, Aoife Russell with 3, while Emer Byrne got their goal, and they're into the final against Antrim.
Yeah, and it was pretty much kind of like the Antrim Sligo game up until the 50th minute, only this one was just throughout the entire game. You know, Longford just had really no answer for Sligo or for Louth, to be honest with you. I mean, they got the last couple of scores in the game, but look, as we all know, when you have a game won to the majority that Louth had it won, you tend to fall asleep at the wheel a bit and allow a team to get a couple of scores at the end just to make the scoreline look a bit more respectable. But Louth had no issue in this game whatsoever. They were by far the better side, and I feel like when Emer Byrne got her goal, even as early as it was a real juggernaut to for Longford. Anyways, it just felt like victory was always in the hands of Louth, to be honest with you. And I mean, they were up by 7 at halftime. It would have taken a real special performance from Longford to get the result in the end. I mean, they went the first 17 minutes of the second half without a score, which is it's really unfortunate from them, but you can't be doing that in an All-Ireland semi-final. And then they didn't score. It says here they didn't score then until the 62nd minute, like 15 minutes later. So, you can't be going those kind of long barren spells of getting no scores and expecting to win. But look, it's still a good gym for them to get to a semi-final. It's just not good enough for them in the end. But Louth and Antrim final. I'll probably shade it to Antrim still. I think they are too good to be in the junior grade. But listen, Louth will be no pushovers either.
Yeah, I fully believe that will be. And that's the two teams that I kind of expected to be there. To be honest, they were at the launch. Anya Breen was there for Louth. Brona Devlin was there for Antrim. And to be honest, I feel like these are the two teams that we're going to see in the final. And the two teams that I think would compete the best at intermediate from this junior championship as well. Speaking of intermediate, where Leitrim will be there next season. They lost to Donegal by 6 points here. Donegal 215, Leitrim 112, and this one was in Kilcoyne Park. It's a disappointing year for Leitrim, but when you looked at it on paper, it was a team that played in Division 4 going up against senior championship teams. And it was a team that failed to get out of Division 4 as well. So with the optics weren't going to look good. But you said to yourself, you know what? They won the intermediate championship, deservedly so. They were superb. But then you see as well, Michelle Guckian not available. And Ailish O'Dowd, who would walk back into that Leitrim team as their best player, in my opinion. She's Dublin's best midfielder, and she's from Leitrim. Her sister plays for the Leitrim team, Laura O'Dowd. Eilish would be such a boost to Leitrim if she were to return. You can't be missing players like Michelle Bucky and Eilish O'Dowd and stay at the level that you've been at in previous seasons. But Donegal in this game had the answers. They hadn't scored much up until this game, but in this game, Eva Gallagher hit 8 points, Jodie McFadden with 1-2, Suzanne White with 1-1, Mia Bennett with 3 points, and Katie Dowd with a point. While on the Leitrim side, Miriam Devaney with 7, Leah Fox with 3, Laura O'Dowd with a goal, and Alva Clancy with 2 were the 4 scorers for Leitrim. It was a disappointing year, but when you look at who they were missing, the size of the panel, the fairy tale Cinderella story of winning the intermediate championship in the first place, I'm not shocked, but it is still a bit of a sad end to what could have been an amazing year. If they had won this game against Donegal, it would have been an amazing result.
Yeah, and like, look, they still have that fairy tale from last year winning the intermediate, which was remarkable over Tyrone. Like, that'll never be taken away from them. And look, it was always going to be difficult to try and maintain their senior status this year, and especially after the hammering they
got as well. That I felt for them really, really straight off the bat. Sorry to jump in, man, but there were other groups where I was looking at games and I was thinking, you know what, like, especially this game against Donegal kind of proved that they really competed with Donegal for long periods. But they got drawn against Dublin and Waterford. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Like, that was ridiculous. Yeah,
they had 2 killer teams. That was going to be a really difficult group for Leitrim, and it was.
Yeah, and like, John, it is to concede the 8-18, I think it was an 8-18 or 8-20, 8-18 to Dublin, and to come back then and I thought they actually performed well against Mayo in the semi-final, in the relegation, we'll call it semi-final, and like that, they're the type of teams that they need to be building themselves up against at the moment, not Waterfords or not Dublins or Kerrys or even Corks to a degree, like that, not these teams, but the Donegals of the world and the Mayos of the world, teams who are probably on that sort of level. And look, it is unfortunate for them, but I believe they can rally the troops and get themselves back up next year, especially when you take into consideration that one of Laois or Tyrone are going up next year. And obviously, if one of them stay down, then it'll make one of them big favourites, obviously, in a way, next year. And obviously, Westmeath are a good side, Monaghan are a good side, Cavan are a very good intermediate team as well, with the Kilsennan players in there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Leitrim did rally the troops again and say, right, we've won it before, why can't we win it again? There's absolutely no reason to suggest otherwise. And yeah, look, it was important. I think it was more important in a way for Donegal to stay up than Leitrim. I think if Donegal had gone down, it would have been a catastrophe for them, to be honest with you. But like I said, look, they didn't. It's another year in the senior grade for them. And like I said, look, they'll have to improve on their scoring tallies. What was it? They got 5 points against Armagh in that relegation semi-final, which is not great. But look, there is more. I feel at the moment in Donegal, like you mentioned, they're the players that have left the Leitrim panel is quite unfortunate. But I think for Leitrim, it's not a bad thing that they're back at intermediate. They could aim to win it again next year. I think for Donegal, it could have been a big catastrophe if they went down.
Yeah, I agree. I think for Leitrim, it definitely would have been better to play against teams at kind of similar level to Donegal. I would kind of almost put Tipperary in that bracket as well, that Leitrim could compete with them. It's not going to be a one-sided beatdown. Mayo, I think, are in that bracket as well. But then you have the Dublins, the Kerrys, the Meaths, the Kildares now, I would say, the Armaghs, the Corks that are just... They're too good. They're too strong. Waterford, you have to throw in there as well. They're too strong. They're going for All Ireland's. Galway, how did I forget them?
Galway, yeah.
They're too strong right now. I think Leitrim need to be built up a little bit more to play them. But they won intermediate. They deserved the shot. It just they came up against a Dublin team as well. Who were goal hungry that day. Like Hannah Tyrrell and Kate Sullivan both got hat tricks. Dubs were ruthless that day. We are going to move then to the Intermediate Camogie Championship semi-finals, the final action of the weekend. And it's always good for Offaly to win when I have my Offaly friend on. Offaly 116, Antrim 212 at St. Conleth's Park. Offaly are into the Intermediate Camogie final for 2025. Very, very important win for Offaly. The Tians got 1-8 between them, Arraid with 1-2 and Grace with 6 points. Clodagh Lahey with 4 points from midfield also deserves a massive shout. Whereas for Antrim, Roisin McCormack unsurprisingly carried the can for a large part of the scores, 1-7 from her, while Katrina Dobbin also got 1-2. For Antrim, it's a disappointing end to the year, falling short at the semi-final stage, but Offaly back in the Intermediate Camogie final.
Yeah, I was just hoping we'd start with this game before the Kerry Tyrone game, you know. But I know. Look, I'm delighted for David Sullivan and his side. You know, they've, like, last year reaching the semi final kind of felt like it was maybe just a bit too soon in their development. You know, it almost not a surprise that they got there, but it was almost like a, oh wow, you know, we're here. You know, but let's make the most of it. Let's enjoy it. And I felt so sorry for them in the way they lost to Cork last year down in Thurles. You know, it just looked real heartbreaking for them. But they've rallied, like Leitrim. They can take big lessons from this. They've rallied the troops and they've said, right, we are good enough to compete at this level. And as well, after losing to Antrim on the opening day as well, like, there was 2 points in it. There was nothing in it at all. So they knew that they can compete with this Antrim team. It was just about getting the balance right and, you know, being maybe a bit more efficient with their shooting. And I have to say, their shooting since the Antrim game. I mean, their Antrim game in general, they scored 3-8, which was still a very impressive tally to get in terms of the goals anyway. But since then, I mean, they hit 3-18 against Carlow the last day. They hit 2-14 against Westmeath, 3-15 against Meath. They've been goal hungry in every single game, and they're getting in amongst like the 14, 15, 16 point margin in points tallies as well, which is really, really impressive. I think they had 10 by half time yesterday, you know, so it was just a real important win. And like, we would see ourselves as a county that can compete at senior level, you know, even if it meant having to try and stay up next year, which will be the aim if they were to win the final against Kerry now. But yeah, no, I'm just delighted for them. They put in a huge amount of work over the last number of years. The panel's come together really well now. A real good panel of players in there. I mean, the Teahans, I mean, what more can be said about them, especially Mairead? I mean, some of the goals that she has got this year have been unbelievable. The goal she got against Westmeath a couple of weeks ago in O'Connor Park was an absolute rocket of a strike. And, you know, she's just a player that's well capable of doing that. Orla Phelan, the captain, she leads by example, really well spoken, and just an all round real consistent player. Clodagh Leahy she was unbelievable for them last year. She's been really solid in the midfield again. Again this year, you know, Sharon Shanahan, she's been real solid this season. I don't think she did play yesterday. It was the Carlow game she didn't play. But you know, she was part of the Ashburn Cup team that won with UL this year. She's a really solid player. Kira Maher, Kate Pilkington, obviously she didn't score yesterday, but all season long she's been a real goal threat at corner forward. So yeah, no, I'm just really happy for them, and they're back in an All-Ireland final, a date at Croke Park. You know, you can't ask for anything more than that. If we can get a repeat of what we got in 2010 from them, then it would be just incredible to win another All-Ireland in Croke Park. So really looking forward to that, and I wish them all the best of luck in that. For Antrim, it's a tough defeat. It absolutely is. You know, after winning the group, and especially after beating Offaly as well in the opening game, that put them on a real good, you know, road for the remainder of the games. But listen, it just shows how competitive they are. You know, they're only 1 point off. I felt whoever won this match would go on to win the All-Ireland, and it's nothing against Kerry because they had a great win against Down. But I just think now after this, the confidence from Offaly will be sky high. So I think we should go on now and win the All-Ireland. Not trying to put pressure on them, because I don't want to be sitting here in a few weeks and feeling sorry for them. But no, I think we should be good enough now to win the All-Ireland. Especially, we saw what they were like in the Division 2A final against Derry when they're playing on a much wider open pitch. I feel that can really suit some of these players in Croke Park.
Yeah, and their opponents for that game will be Kerry. Kerry 3-12, down 16 points. Kerry will be the opponents for Offaly in that intermediate Camogie final. Kerry hit a hat-trick of goals to overcome Down in the semi-final in Newbridge and book their place in the final against Offaly. Patrice Diggin with 1-7, Jackie Horgan with 1-3, Amy O'Sullivan with the other goal, Cueva Spillane and Kate Lynch hit a point each. They were the scorers for Kerry here. Overcoming Down in a very impressive fashion. They will be Offaly's opponents in the final. What are you expecting from that?
I'm expecting a tough challenge. There's no question about that. You know, the two sides had met each other in the group stages, and you know they're very well known to each other. Kerry had a massive win over Carlow as well. Only reduced them to 3 points over 60 minutes, which was really impressive. And yeah, they're going to take a really tough beating. You know, and like Down are a solid side as well. You know, there was nothing in it. I think it was a draw at halftime where Kerry were 1 point in front. It was one or the other, and it was all to play for in the second half. But it's, again, goals win games. It just shows how important goals are in games. You know, it worked for Tip last weekend. It's worked for Kerry now here again. And they're going to take a real big beating in the final. And again, Croke Park could be somewhere that suits this Kerry team down to the ground as well. The midfield battle between Patrice Diggin and Clodagh Leahy be one that I'd be really looking forward to seeing. And Ruth O'Connor as well. You know, she's a real solid player as well. So yeah, no, I'm expecting a real tough challenge from Kerry. I still think, and I'm being biased, of course I am, but I still think we'll get over the line, and I'm hoping we will. But it'll be by no means an easy task at all. It'll be a real tough task against this Kerry side. But yeah, one to look forward to.
Certainly. Yeah, that is the weekend recapped. It's been another bumper episode. Big thank you to Liam for jumping on. Liam, you've recently launched as well the Faithful podcast. Guys, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's only newly launched. But Liam, do you want to do a little pitch for it, everything like that to anyone watching?
All that comes to my head now is Louis Capaldi talking about his album, just saying, "Don't waste your time." But it's an absolute joke. Yeah, look, launched it there a couple of weeks ago. At the moment, it's mostly predominantly speaking about the Offaly Championship, with obviously I'll get the mix of the Camogie team as well, and Camogie Championship previews and whatnot over the next couple of weeks as well. Did the first live video there a couple of weeks ago with my own father, which was interesting. It was weird calling him Mr. White, even though he was a principal. He was a principal.
Breaking Bad.
Oh, stop.
Heisenberg.
But yeah, no. It's been yeah, we've done a couple of videos already. Reviewed the hurling league finals in the county, the football league finals that happened last weekend. Did a live video during the week, previewing the weekend's action in the Offaly Championship, in which, when the results that we predicted, I think we get 2 right out of 2 or out of 4. Our own club, Kilcormac drew with Belmont and got fierce lucky to draw with them. We're missing a lot of players at the moment, but we got fierce lucky to draw that. Predicted Birr to beat Sir Kieran, predicted Shinrone to beat Rhinus today, which was a cracking game. And Kildare pulled off a big win over Ballymere yesterday, which we didn't predict. We thought Ballymere would win that game, but you know, we swear we do know what we're talking about at times. We promise we know what we're talking about. But yeah, it'll be mostly predominantly talking about Offaly, but there will be we will be talking about the All-Ireland final next weekend as well. We'll talk about the All-Ireland football final the week after, and everything else kind of in the GA world as well. But yeah, it's the Faithful Podcast YouTube channel, and yeah, looking forward to having more videos on there, and I'll try and somehow bribe Aaron and Seamus and Matthew to come onto the channel at some point. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to more videos in the future.
Absolutely, looking forward to it too, man. Peter here says Liam's pod is very good. His dad was great. So you can pass that on to Mr. White. Peter says, well done, that's great review. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you to all the people who commented. That really, really helped. Brian says, can't believe the championship year is almost over. What will I do with my Sunday evenings without being able to watch your podcast, James? Oh, Brian, it's great to have you on the show. But don't you worry, we're going to keep going into the club championship every Sunday, no matter what. We are going to be covering the weekend's action. Massive thank you to Brian O'Riordan, to Sean O'Malley, to Peter Griffin, to Porter, Sean Sugru, Rudders 38, Stephen Conlon, Jack Nulty, and Acers for commenting throughout the show. Helped to make that show really, really enjoyable. Massive thanks to Liam for jumping on again as well. Next weekend's show will be the reaction to the All-Ireland hurling final of 2025 between Cork and Tipperary. What an episode that is going to be. Make sure you are with us for that. Until then, enjoy your week and enjoy the build-up to the All-Ireland hurling final. See you all then.